Welcome to SoulTopia Shenanigans with Michelle Welch. I have with me today my guest, Eloy Machuca. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And he is with the Green Man Studios, and he's here today primarily to talk about a subject that I don't know a whole lot about, but I'm very interested in, and it's the Lenormand cards. A lot of you may know about Oracle cards or Tarot cards, but this is something that's a little bit different. So we're going to kind of let Eloy take it away and tell us, first of all, maybe just start off telling us about how you became interested in these type of cards.
Okay. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I really started with Tarot and really started exploring different card systems. And I was so fascinated with like all the Tarot cards, and then ran across some fortune-telling cards and ran across different styles of cards, even playing cards that were geared more toward an oracle. So it was something I really enjoyed. So at the time I was ordering a lot of cards and looking at the artwork and kind of studying them intuitively. But I had an order on Amazon, and I really needed to get to that $35 in order to get the free shipping. So I actually ordered this deck of cards. And they were
What
only
deck
like
is that?
$8. They're the playing key cards.
Okay.
And they're just a Lenormand card. What they do is they were just an introduction to what I wanted to know about cards. And so Mademoiselle Lenormand, just a little bit of history about her. She was a French fortune teller in the 18th century. She predicted Napoleon's rise and fall. She actually read for Josephine, and she kind of told him that if he leaves you, his dynasty will fall, everything will crumble, and she became very famous doing that. And I like the system itself because it is different than Tarot and it's different than Oracle. There's a structure and a meeting and a conversation that you have with the cards.
Right.
So for me, it's just a little different. And up until probably 8 years ago, there were only 2 decks that were actually created and out. And since then, hundreds of decks have been created, and people have made the decks because it's a very simple system, and the pictures don't have to be too elaborate. They just have to be a standard symbol for what that image means or what it represents.
So it sounds like it's gaining a lot in popularity too, if that many decks have come out.
Oh yeah, there were quite a few that came out after probably 2010. You probably saw a lot of Tarot readers get fascinated by Lenormand and creating their own decks, and they have them everything from fairy decks to even some card stamp decks that I have that are limited edition. And so yeah. It's really one of those things where it's just kind of taken hold, and when I started kind of playing with it, it's about the time that people really started wondering what it was and understanding the system. And I was introduced to Rana George, and Rana really helped explain the system.
Mm-hmm.
And just her passion and her love for it, we became really close friends. So it's one of those things where we were always talking about it, and we were talking about the different decks that came out. That's before Cyril Marchetti's The Gilded Reverie came out.
Right.
She was in the process of helping writing that. So that's kind of where everything kind of took off. So I enjoy it, and I really do like sharing the background and the history with everyone.
So I see, so she's the lady, the French woman.
Yes.
Is it Lenormand? Is that her
Yeah.
name? So show us a picture.
I'll show you a
Hold it.
picture.
Can you see that over there? Is it in the frame? Okay.
So this is Mademoiselle.
her.
Mademoiselle Lenormand.
Lenormand.
And we actually, when Arthur and I went to France, we went to her grave. And she's in the famous cemetery there in like the 3rd section as you walk in. So yeah, she was a very popular oracle. She never actually really read with these cards that are named after her. In her process, what is she actually set up a parlor, and she'd have like bat wings on the walls, and you would come in and she would lay out playing cards for you, and you would have tea with her. And she would read your cards, and at the end, she would read your tea leaves.
Okay.
So the images come from the tea leaves.
That's right. I remember hearing about that.
The images come from the
Yeah.
tea leaves, and then the playing cards are actually what she read with. So that's how those two things tie together.
together.
So then after her death, Heckel created a deck. He's a German publisher, and he created a deck that was more like the game of hope. And what it was is, we would probably compare it to Monopoly now.
Right.
So you would lay out the cards, and then you would have a little trinket, and you'd roll the dice, and you go across, and that's the way
I
it was
heard
played.
you can still get that game.
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
You still get that.
So,
It's
yeah.
called the Game of Hope.
It's a
right?
game of hope, and the deck looks similar to that. So this is actually a replica of the deck from the British Museum.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, if you can see, it has playing cards on it, and then it has an image.
That's neat. So what is the main difference between Lenormand cards, and let's just fix that for now. Go
Okay.
ahead and address the pronunciation quickly.
Lenormand?
Lenormand. Okay.
Lenormand.
And so why is it that? It's because it's a French word,
It's
and that's how
French.
you pronounce it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Mademoiselle
that's why it's
Lenormand.
not Lenormand, because or
Lenormand.
East Lenormand, because it's not East Texan,
Right.
Okay, so Lenormand, you have to sound very sophisticated when you say this, or people will look at you funny. Because I have gotten that. I was at a thing in Denver, and I went into a Lenormand. I texted Eloy and told him I'm going into a Lenormand. He didn't know how I was pronouncing it, but I said I'm going into a conference. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to learn something. And of course, I didn't bring my notes today. I forgot him, but he knows all of it anyway. So, and I went in and I asked a question, and they were like, "Well, it's Lenormand." I was like, "Well, oops, okay,
Yep.
corrected. I stand corrected." Again, my East Texas accent got me. So, what's the main difference between the Lenormand cards and tarot cards? Would you say?
So I would say a tarot card, if you look at the Empress card, you have a woman. She's surrounded by objects. She has a mountain. She usually has a shield. She has different things that kind of symbolize, that kind of come out to. And that's how you kind of get the image of what she's represented.
Okay.
In Lenormand cards, you simply have a woman, and you lay cards around her that give her the image, to give her the story, to give her the kind of the energy around her, versus all of it being in a card. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Empress is a good card to think about that. You can look at the Magician. He has a table. He has all the tools in front of him. But unless you have the man with a tool beside him or with something beside him, then he's just a man.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's why the cards around them actually tell the story of what's interacting with them and where they are and what's going on.
So is there something about that you would have a noun and like a verb?
Yes.
Okay, so explain that.
So first of all, the first card would describe whatever is the topic. The
Okay.
second card would actually, so the noun would be the first card, and the second card would actually be an adjective talking about that.
Adjective, okay.
An adjective would describe
Makes
what's
sense.
going on with this woman.
Okay.
If it's a flower, then she's a beautiful woman. She's a gifted woman. She is a woman of grace.
Okay,
That's who she is. That's how it's described. And so they're always read in pairs.
okay.
Now, if you have the next card beside it, it could be the mouse, which is about stress. So this beautiful woman is frightened because she just saw a mouse.
Yeah.
Why is she stressed? What is going on? And it's not a big stress because mice are little. So it's just like, just imagine a woman, this beautiful woman, saw a mouse, jumps in a chair, get it? I don't know what's going on.
Right.
That's the beginning of the story.
Okay, so does each card have different meanings that you could find in that card, or does it have one set meaning and it depends on the cards around it?
It has one set meaning, and then it describes first where it lands. If it's the second card, it's an adjective. If it's the third card, then it's kind of the action.
Oh, okay.
So think of like foreign languages. Spanish,
Mhm.
you have the noun, the adjective, and then the verb.
Okay.
So that's why it's set up that way.
Okay.
Because it is a French system. Now there are two schools of thought around that. First of all, is there some cards sometimes have different meanings because there's like a French school of the way it's taught, and
Right.
there's like a German school and the way it's taught. So different cards could have different meanings on different through different systems, through
Okay.
just training.
Okay. All right, so you said before we started that you have how many decks?
So I was going through getting ready for this class today, and I have more than 60 Lenormand card decks.
Oh, wow.
That doesn't include like the tarot cards.
And you said there's about how many on the market?
There's probably more than 100 now, but those have only
So
come
you have like
a lot.
a lot.
A lot.
Ones on the market.
I have a lot of like the same style of card, only because like I said, I like collecting them. So
you have a deck that you use and a deck that you preserve.
yes.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
I might have like the Gilded Reverie, see, and this is the standard size, and then I have the miniature version. But
Oh,
they're
they're so
little
cute.
tiny babies,
They're
and I
little
love
cute.
them.
Yeah,
Isn't that
I love
cute?
'em.
But it's the same style of card.
Right.
They're just created in different sizes.
Okay.
So,
All right, they're cute.
and the reason why the size of the card is so important is because a lot of times if you're going to lay out all 36 cards,
Right.
you need table space.
You need the space. And that's called, when you lay it all 36.
The grand tableau. And
Okay.
that's where you do all the cards. That's where you say, okay, I'm going to lay out all 36 cards. The person is being read, and then you read the energy around them.
About how long does that take? Or just does it just take as long as it takes? Remember when we went to the lady at the
Right,
at the
yeah.
Scarborough Fair? We went to the Scarborough Fair. I'm going to digress.
Go ahead.
We went to the Scarborough Fair, and I'm sorry if you are watching this, whomever did my reading, but Eloy was going to buy me a reading because it was in a cute
Yeah, it was
little.
cute.
What is
Yeah.
that called?
It
caravan.
it's like a caravan.
A little
yeah,
caravan.
like
It
a
was
trailer. Yeah, it
so
was cute.
I mean, just flowers around it. It was just so enticing. And so he said, I'll get you a reading. So I was like, oh, yeah, fine. I'll go in there. And so we asked, well, let's ask first how much it cost. And so she said, for how long, too. And she said, it's this much.
For as long as it takes.
As long as it takes. And
You were a quick read.
and I was out in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, she was.
I wondered if somebody was in there for 2 hours, if she would take that long, if she would take as long as
Right.
it takes. But how long does the grand tableau take?
So if I were really going to sit down with a client or a guest and go through several facets of their life, an hour and a half would be.
Wow.
Because you could lay out the tableau and you could look at what's going on in the relationship, what's going on with work, what's going on with their health, what's going on with love, what's going on with their property or their home or their family or their kids. You can actually ask multiple questions on what's going on
Okay.
with that. A quick read, if you had a quick question, I always carry like a small deck with me. I'll say, okay, this is the situation, this is what's going on with this situation, and the last card would be the advice. Just
Okay.
something that's going to be a quick read.
So can you do yes/no questions?
Yes.
Okay,
You
with
can.
these.
Definitely.
Okay.
And it's usually the card on the end that tells you the outcome if you're
Okay.
doing a quick read.
All right.
Yeah, because if something like Our Lady, who
Mm-hmm.
saw the mouse, is she having a good day? No, she's
Right.
not, because she's scared.
Scared.
She's
Yeah.
scared.
Okay, so would you recommend these? Would the Lenormand be better to start with? Not that there's a right or a wrong, but would you think it would be easier to learn or harder to learn than the tarot if you weren't learning I don't mean just, but if you were really learning the positions of tarot, not intuitive tarot, but like the spreads and the positions?
Okay.
Which did you find?
Okay, so coming to it from an intuitive side, I wanted to know the history of it, so I did the studies
Right.
of the tarot. So,
Me too.
But what I had to do was to turn off the tarot mind and really, really focus on what the structure of this system was.
Okay.
Because you can't look at the moon in the same way and think, well, this is your intuition. In Lenormand, the moon is your reputation and how other people see you. It doesn't have anything necessarily to do with intuition.
Okay.
So it does have a different meaning.
So what if someone's never done either one? Which one do you think would be, let's say they don't feel they're very intuitive.
Then they would probably find it easier with Lenormand.
Okay.
Because it does create a sentence or a structure, and then from that you pull the message. That's
Okay.
where your intuition comes in.
All right.
Because sometimes you can look at it and you can see that the man is in the house.
So it really gives you something to start with.
Right. And you're like, this man is in the house. What's going on with him? Well, there's a whip. Well, he's frustrated in this house. He's not happy in this house. Okay. And in certain instances, I would say, okay, so there's a man in a house and he's not happy.
Okay.
And the guest would say, well, I moved home with my mother, and you're right, I'm not happy.
Okay.
And
So,
sometimes
yeah.
it's that literal.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, it makes it simple.
So that would be a good thing for someone who thinks that they don't have the intuition.
Right.
And then they may realize as they get into it more that they have more of an intuition,
Sure.
obviously than they thought.
They'll create that comfort level of receiving those messages and then delivering them, I think.
All right, so how many cards are in a deck?
So the Petite Lenormand uses 36 cards.
Is that little bitty one?
So petite,
Or does that
petite means 36.
Okay, it doesn't mean tiny.
No, it
Okay.
does. So petite means 36. The Grand Lenormand is all 52 cards.
Okay.
In a playing deck. So what it is Mademoiselle took away cards 2 to 5, and she read the aces and the sixes on. So that's why there's 36 cards.
Okay, so what would that typically you would start with a 36?
36.
Okay.
36 is the standard.
Okay.
Now, with that and contemporary kind of publishing of the deck, people are adding their own cards to it. They're adding a compass so you can find your way. They're adding a work card that actually says like a workship kind of sort of thing. But remember where the system comes from. It's really, there were more cards because there were more systems before. This is
Right.
just where it's kind of pared down to the 36 standard cards, and then people will add 4 cards to it. Or they might add 2 men and 2 women for contemporary reading. So if you're reading for a couple that's gay, or if you're reading for somebody who's, maybe in more than one love relationship, you can add those in there.
Yeah. Okay. So are those like significator cards, kind of? Okay.
So significator is usually the person who is being read is the man or the woman sitting in front of you, and then their significant other you would choose. Like you would choose Roger. I would choose. So I'd have 2 men on my table.
Right.
But you would have a man and a woman on your table.
Okay. Maybe. No, I'm kidding. I'd have Roger.
Sorry, Roger.
I'm kidding. I'd have Roger.
See, it just comes out.
I'm kidding. All right. So as far as the change, besides changing, because I'm sure people are kind of glad that they're adding some variety on the significant card. How do the traditionalists or conventional readers of Lenormand feel about people adding other cards, like the compass card or the, you know how some people in Tarot get a little upset when they mess with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do people get that way? Do they get persnickety about that?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So I'll show you real quick too. So traditional cards will have like 1 image and 1 playing card. So it's really, 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 really simple. But if you have, like, let's say this book was on a table or something else, then what it does is it starts adding a different image to it.
Okay.
So usually traditional will just have 1 image and a playing card.
Okay.
And these are kind of old. So
Yeah, they look cool.
Yeah, they're very standard. If you add too many images to it, somebody might pick up that there's a bird in the picture. When there's a bird card and a ring card, and I think one of the decks that you has the bird carrying the ring because he's a magpie, and the ring and the bird, you don't realize that it's actually the ring card and not the bird card.
Oh, that'd be confusing.
So too many images will kind of confuse it a little bit.
Okay. So people get a little funny about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
But people still just do whatever they want to do.
Well, people, I mean, everybody has the right, but then what happens is if they tend to add a card to it, they gear more toward like an oracle.
Ah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they'll say a Lenormand oracle, which means I've added a few cards.
So call
to
it
this.
what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. Just call it what it is.
Right. And so
Okay.
it's not just a standard 36. There is a few more cards in there, and sometimes people are just drawn to do that, and that's okay. And you can take those 4 cards. I take those 4 cards out. I put them to the side, and then I just do my readings with 36.
Okay. So show us a pretty deck. Well, not that those aren't pretty, but show us a really pretty.
I'll show you probably one of the most popular.
Okay.
Oop, let's look at this. Oh, that's okay. Let's look at the mouse card. So there's a
Oh,
mouse
here,
card.
There's the mouse card. We've been talking
So
about it.
these are the original print of the Ciro Marchetti Gilded
Okay.
Reverie. And he's actually re-releasing these
Okay.
because he did have extra cards in his deck. And when they were mass produced by US Games, US Games only did the 36 cards. Well, now US Games is reproducing them with the extra owl and the dice and the clock and the bridge and kind of the drama card. But these were only released in the original version of them.
Okay.
And now with the anniversary edition that's coming out, that should be coming out next month, you actually get all 40 cards, which what people have been
remember
really,
them talking about that.
really,
Yes.
really wanting. So
Yes.
unless you had the original deck, then you didn't get that. And then I believe, and I'm not certain, oops, let's do it
Let me
this
see
way.
that one.
Which one?
Are they clothed in these?
Okay, so
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm not sure what kind of PG show you have here, but we'll do this. So,
This is G-rated show.
so like these two cards, and the man and the woman,
Uh-huh.
are traditional in the Ciro Marchetti. And these two cards, I think, are being added to it. And for
Sexy.
me, the sexy card, see that?
Yeah.
And for me, when I ask my guests to kind of choose the card, if they choose this guy, they probably know him intimately. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if they choose this card, they're still out looking for the bachelor, looking for that unknown. And that's why I kind of like the rose in that.
Well, so if they were choosing, do they choose for themselves?
I do. I do
Okay.
allow them to choose for themselves.
So if I was choosing for myself, I would choose between these two cards.
Yes.
Well, that'd be kind of a little bold to say, okay, I'm going to choose this one.
Okay, so you could choose this one, but for me, this is a confident
What would you
woman who's
think?
comfortable with herself. She
Okay.
likes her body. She knows who she is, and she's willing to
Good,
share.
I like that.
And if she chooses this guy,
That's my card.
she chooses this guy. She's seen him. She's been intimate with him. She knows
Okay.
this is. And usually, they're like, yeah, that's my husband, or they're like, yeah, this guy. I'm like, are you in a relationship? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, that's going to make this more fun because we're going to see where he
okay.
falls. So
Interesting.
that I like having that added kind of flair
Yeah.
to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're re-releasing them, and I'm glad that they're adding the other cards to it because it's
Right.
one of the things when it first came out that people were really upset that they wanted. How do we get the extra cards?
That was a big deal.
Yes, it was. A
They
big
wanted
deal.
them. Okay.
But it was also a funny deal because Ciro got a lot of flack for adding the cards to there because he wasn't being traditional.
Ah, there you go. But people wanted it.
And then these are the baby
Oh, aren't
ones,
those
and the
cute?
same thing. See?
Those are it's the same thing, but
It's
there's
the mini version, but this is
Oh,
another
they're so
collector's
cute,
edition.
though.
But see, it has my name on it because Arthur gifted them to me.
Aw.
So they're so cute, but the pictures are vibrant. See,
Yeah, they are.
see the difference?
I like that. Really
There's
cute.
again the bridge, the
Okay.
whale. I think the wishing well will be in the new deck, so I'm not
Okay.
sure.
There's the ring.
There's the woman.
There's the
There's a,
conservative woman.
there's a little hot guy. See.
There's the hot guy.
So I like collecting like different, even different editions of the same deck.
Right.
So, and the cool thing about these is these are self-published by Ciro, and then,
pretty.
like I said, they're really nice to see on a table.
Oh yeah. Well, so Eloy's done readings for me, and so, when you don't really know what he's doing, it's interesting to watch. And you're sort of a natural teacher. When you read, but you also kind of teach as you read.
One of the things I do kind of explain is where the system comes from, because I think it's fascinating, and the
Yeah.
history of it. And as we go into the reading, as we're delivering the message, it's kind of moving away from that, but that way people understand why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Because they're not as familiar with
Right,
it,
right,
too.
right.
Because there's layers. Because you would say you could read diagonal or maybe,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
thinking.
No,
or-
you can't.
Or
So that's what you're going to
yeah.
do. If you're laying them out, you're going to read what's around them, where they're going, what they're thinking about, maybe the direction, where they came from, in any
Yeah.
scenario.
Right. Okay, so show me that fairy deck. That one's really pretty. Those look big, though.
They are bigger. And the fairy deck is by Marcus Katz and Telly Goodwin. But people like, again,
Oh, pretty.
the imagery.
Yeah.
Has the playing card. It does have the numbers on it. But this is the ring, which is a little confusing because there's stones around it. See how it's a little more? Okay. So this is...
It's kind of hard to find the focal point.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the bird.
Yeah, I could see that because my eye went to the little fairy people.
Yeah. This is the mouse.
See it. Yeah, because it is a fairy deck. So, yeah.
Yeah. The mountain's kind of easy to
Mountain.
there. But see, the clouds could be a little confusing.
Okay. Yeah, because there's mountains on that one, too.
Well, actually, this is the clouds. I just made my point.
Okay, you did make a point, yeah.
This is 6. This is the clouds.
Yeah.
This
There's
is
the
the
mountains.
mountain. See the difference?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can see how that's a little confusing, but they are pretty.
they are very pretty, but you would
Yeah.
have to be really familiar with the deck.
Right.
See the whooping, the whip
The whoop.
from the broom?
The whoop. Get your whooping. Yeah, I see the whip.
And then
But see, I just see the fairy there. What's that, an embrace?
the clover.
Oh, that means good luck, right?
Right.
Ah,
So,
there
yeah.
you go.
But see how it's a little more, unless you're familiar with the deck.
Yeah, I can see that. But they are very pretty.
They are very pretty to look at.
Yeah.
But again,
How many? But that's really gone against the grain because they're bigger,
they're much bigger.
and so that's definitely like an oracle deck. Oracle Lenormand.
Yeah, so this one, see, makes my case. Oracle Lenormand.
Ah,
So
so
it's
they
a-
did a
it's
good
a
job.
Lenormand. Yep, they did
They
good.
called it what it was.
Yep.
Okay.
That's okay.
Cool. So could you like pull some just random cards and kind of tell us a couple of them what they mean?
Sure.
Okay.
So let's do something a little bit more traditional, though.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I'll use my friend's deck.
Okay.
And so, Rainey Warren actually created this deck. It's a stamp deck of Lenormand.
Okay.
Traditional symbols, so they're all individually stamped. And so this is the key. So the key itself has to do with removing any obstacles, unlocking all the doors. It's the most positive card in the deck
Oh, okay.
because it is the gateway to anything.
Okay.
So you're always looking for the key because it has the answer.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, right. It does.
So turn that over again. There's the crossroads.
Okay.
That's simple. Are you going to go right or are you going to go left? You're at a point where you need to make a choice, make a decision.
Okay.
So that's what that card would represent. The heart, which I think she did a good job of,
Yeah.
which is really about love.
Okay.
Quite simply, it's about love. Now, the cards around it will tell you whether it's a relationship or it's family love, love for your children,
Right.
parental love. So all that kind of describes that.
Your animals, yeah.
Yeah, your animals. There's a house. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, that is cute.
So very standard images. So
Okay.
and again, when you're looking even traditionally, there's a man. A man is
Okay.
a man is a man.
A man is a man.
There's a garden. Can you see the
Oh,
garden?
Yeah, I do. See fountain too, though.
Yep. So
Okay,
that's
'cause
part of
it's
the
a-
garden.
Yeah. Okay.
The cross is
What
a
does
cross.
a cross mean?
So a cross usually is a burden,
Okay.
an ending, or it's beside a certain card, it can be spirituality.
Okay.
So maybe by the star card, it would be spirituality.
Okay.
But if it's by the coffin, it's an ending, it's a death.
Okay.
So it depends on what's around it.
So there's a coffin card.
There is a coffin card. There's a house.
House.
House could be your home where you live. It could be property you own, or it could be anything to do with real estate.
So here's a point I wanted to make. So if you got the house, that wouldn't mean stability. It would mean house.
Okay, it would mean house if it was the noun. If it was the
Gotcha.
adjective, it would mean stability.
Okay.
So if this man, you wanted to know about him, and he was by the house, he's a family man. He's a stable
Gotcha.
man.
Okay.
So it describes that.
Got to read them together.
Right. They're
Okay.
always in combinations.
Okay.
It's like looking at a glass. A glass is a glass is a glass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it has a shape like a margarita glass, then it's a margarita glass. If it's
Mhm.
martini glass, they have symbols,
Right.
shapes. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
all the other cards do is help describe what's going on with that.
Okay. Cool.
So it's very, very simple imagery, and that's
Mhm.
the way it should be read.
Okay, so remind me again how it ties in with the playing cards that are on there.
Mademoiselle read playing cards.
Oh, that's right.
And
then
the images are
came
tea
from
leaves.
the tea leaves.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I have a question about. Well, first of all, is there anything else you want to tell us that I haven't thought of? Because I don't know it well enough to necessarily. The one thing I was going to ask you about was about your friend,
Ronna
George. She's coming out with debt because we ordered it.
Right.
And
And
our
it's
shipment
being-
just hasn't come in.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
it's being released now.
Yeah,
It's arriving in. Yeah, it's arriving now.
it's beautiful.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, they had it because U.S. Games had it,
Right.
And we're friends with some of the people there, and so they're literally they were showing it to us, and it's got this gold gilded, it's bright blue. It looks so rich, so expensive.
I can't wait to see
looks
it.
So very different than her stamp deck. I mean, like completely.
Oh no, this is
that
Rain.
wasn't her.
That was Rain. That was Rainy. Rainy Warren.
Okay, Rainy Warren, your
Okay.
other friend. Okay, so but they're both nice. But
Okay.
it's just this one is just like so like
It's very ornate from what I understand.
very ornate.
I understand
now,
that.
You know, I haven't read it, so I wouldn't know. But apparently, people liked it, and she did. I'm thinking I remember this correctly that she added. I was telling you earlier. I think it was her that added a merchant card. I'm not sure.
Maybe
I could be wrong though.
no. I think it is.
Yeah, I took
So-
5 pages of notes, like I said, and I forgot them all.
So I will say this. You know what? I'm very excited to see Ronna George's deck. Her and Callie French. We met them. I met Callie French, who helped illustrate the deck. And during the process, Ronna did share that she was adding a few cards, and she told me, and she's like, "Don't tell anyone that we're adding these cards yet, because it's a secret, it's a surprise." So she did add a few cards to the deck. So I'm really excited to see those. And the other thing is, we were at her house, and we were visiting her during our trip to Europe. And she actually showed us some of the things in her home that are represented on the deck. So, like some of the pastries are things that she served us. There's like a box, a jewelry box that's in the deck. These are actually symbols from her and her history with the deck and her country.
cool.
So it really has a lot of layers
Lot of
in there,
layers.
and I
Amazing.
can't wait to see
Yeah,
it.
that's cool. Yeah, it's beautiful. So you guys
So-
all have to get it. All right, so has anybody commented and want a reading? Do you guys? We've got Mary and Nikki in the house with us
Hey.
today. We're so glad you came and helped us, you guys. Thanks again, everybody, for as you watch this back for watching this. Not live, but watching the recording of it. We will get it worked out, or maybe this is just the way we're supposed to do it. We'll figure that out. We'll ask and see how this is supposed to go. Do you guys have any questions over there? I know you guys collect cards of all kinds. I know you're not mic'd, but do you collect any Lenormand cards?
We've got a couple.
So they're saying they have a couple. Yeah, they got a couple of them.
Really sat down and learned how to do it.
Yeah. So. Well, so Eloy's going to do a class here at SoulTopia. He does classes at Miracles of Joy already, where Arthur works, and where they teach a lot of classes. And they're friends of ours there, and we support their classes. And of course, they have great classes there. But I have talked him into coming over here and doing a class at SoulTopia. So we're just working on that date.
Yeah, we're just working on a date. It's usually it's usually 2 settings, and the reason why is because it is a system. And one of the things I like to do is to share the meanings and kind of establish that foundation, and then help you kind of do a little homework with some 3, some 5, and some 9 card readings. And then we come back in a few weeks later, and then we kind of go over some playing card meetings, and then we actually dive into the grand tableau and look at
wow.
what that looks like on the other side. But it's just working with the cards a little bit and being familiar, so that way you can take the plunge at the deep end of the pool.
So I encourage everybody to sign up for that, because I don't know if he has a limit on the number of the class, but I have a feeling that one's going to fill up very quickly and be very popular, because a lot of people have been asking about that. And of course, he's so knowledgeable. And it's not just like anybody can not everyone's just knowledgeable about this, because around here there's not that many people really.
There's not a lot of people who teach it, but it's also I've attended a few workshops on it, and what I really try to do is help people connect with the cards. And I think that may be one of the components where it has to be done in 2 settings versus trying to do a
Just
crash
cram
course,
it all
right?
in,
Because
right.
it can be overwhelming, and it as you get into it, you can do time, you can describe people, you can talk about the playing card inserts, you can talk about the motivation behind the cards. There's so many layers to it.
Right. Okay. So we do have some people wanting some readings. I'm going to pull this up just a tiny
Okay.
bit more so that they can for sure hear you. We told you that you'd be heard just fine, but I think we're having a little trouble
Okay.
hearing you. So
There.
he is, and I'm going to say this too. I think you're a great teacher. Like I said, not that when you get a reading for him, he's just teaching you. That's not true, because he definitely gives you a good reading and a full reading. But you're just the ultimate teacher. I feel like you're always teaching, but that's part of your other job
Right.
too.
I do presentations all the
Yeah,
time.
you do it all the time. So that's just what you do.
Right.
So yeah, and he's also going to be moderating and be on our panel for SoulTopia Sensation. Aren't you guys excited? I cannot tell you, and I want you to know this. How many people are so excited about the presentations on July the 16th? They've been calling, and Nikki, you're one of them. They've been like scheduling readings around these presentations
Oh, nice.
because they want to go to the presentations.
I really
And-
enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did.
And he's like a natural. I was like, he's Oprah. He needs a talk show. He's so
That's
good
funny.
at it. Yeah, he's so good at keeping. You're gonna have your hands full though, because Neil's on your panel.
I know. I'm ready for it. Though.
So
I'm ready for
you're
it.
gonna have your hands full. All
I'm gonna-
right. So we're gonna take some readings if you're
Okay.
okay with it.
No, we're good with
Are
that.
you all right with that? Okay. So throw me a name.
Lexi.
Okay. So Lexi.
Okay. So does Lexi have a question, or she just wants kind of a reading of where she's at?
Just reading.
Okay.
Okay. So Lexi just wants a general reading.
Okay.
Is that how you say it in
Sure.
Lenormand? I just said that wrong. Lenormand.
So I'm kind of asking, what does Lexi need to know?
Okay. Thank you. Do reverse cards matter?
Reverse cards don't matter at
Okay.
all. So the center card is usually what I'm going to use to kind of describe what's happening in the situation right now.
Okay.
So I think Lexi had been dealing with some major stress in the recent past. I think there were some things that they weren't like, I wouldn't say, Lexi, you had a lot of major things. There was a lot of little things that were just kind of overwhelming you a little bit. But you're in a better place, and I feel like right now with the lily that there's some peace and there's like a pause. But moving forward, I think she's going to have to be more assertive to prevent these things from happening again. I see this as her taking charge, and really my advice for Lexi for just kind of the near future is don't be afraid to be assertive and really just kind of put your foot down and stick to what you know.
Very good.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I would see it.
And I can validate this for you. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with this situation, but Lexi was one of our. You've probably met her. Her whole family would come to SoulTopia Sensation. They're beautiful people, and they had a big move. They moved back to South
yeah,
Dakota. They're some of our favorite people that were just fast and furious friends,
Okay.
and they're the best manifestors in the world. They'd win every prize we'd have at SoulTopia.
That's
I'd be
good.
like, if you want to manifest, follow them. But so I can't validate for her, but I will say that seemed to be
That would be the move, taking
Yeah.
charge and the little things that you have to do to get that all done, and then really finding that place. But again, taking charge of the situation and make sure you're standing your grounds as you move forward.
And I'm sure that's probably something else going on for her that she can, but she's
Yeah.
not here to validate, but
Yeah.
I'll just say that for her. I think
that's cool.
Makes sense. Very good.
Does that make sense how you see that?
I do see that, yeah. And there's the mouse.
Yeah.
The mouse has been coming up today.
You know what I love about this mouse?
What?
Is that, see the shadow? I don't know if you can see the shadow. The mouse is a little thing, but sometimes the shadow makes it look bigger than it is.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
love the way she illustrated that.
Yeah, that's a really good way to do that. These are good cards. Because you know why these are good? It's not overwhelming to the eye.
right.
It goes right to the picture, and
Right.
but she does do those subtleties like that shadow. That's
Right.
cool. Okay, so we're gonna read for Emma now. Or
Okay.
actually, you're gonna read for Emma now.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay.
And does Emma have a question, or is it just a general reading?
Does Emma have a question?
Okay.
So we might want to tell them if they have a question, if we could put that, if they have a question.
It's not a big deal.
You don't have to, but if you do, let us know. So these are from the Gilded
These are from the Gilded Revelry
that we talked about earlier. Oh,
Ooh.
pretty.
So,
So,
right now on the center, what I see there is that she's got some choices that she's currently making. And she feels like this is a good opportunity for her, because luck is on her side, to make these choices. So,
Right.
moving forward, I think what she needs to do is to ask more questions, because she's going to get some mixed messages, and she needs clarity in order to get what she really wants. So if you have some decisions coming your way, or if you've decided this is a good time for you to kind of maybe take on some new challenges or go a new direction, just make sure that you're getting all the details so you don't bite off more than you can chew.
okay. I have a question. Is this rainbow or merry-go-round?
So Ciro's card is a little more creative, but
Or the horse? The rider?
The rider. This
The
is the
rider,
messenger.
The messenger.
Yeah,
I did. Okay.
see, she's
So I
on
was
a horse.
all around it.
So
It's
yeah,
a pretty horse. So the horse is the messenger,
yeah,
and the snake,
it's kind of a warning.
kind of a warning.
So just imagine.
That's where you said more information?
Ask more questions, because just
Okay.
imagine if your horse came upon a snake.
A messenger. Yeah. Okay.
It could be literally like, okay, just pause. Don't get overwhelmed, but ask more questions.
Okay. And the staircase?
That's the choices. Are you going door number 1, door number 2?
Okay. And then I'm going backwards. And we had the clovers, which is the good fortune or
Good
luck.
fortune, good luck,
Okay.
and the sun is
And the
success.
sun. It's
So this is a
success.
good time for her
Mm.
to make some choices.
Okay.
Just make sure she has all the details,
information.
right?
Okay. Very good. I like these.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can be simple, and it can be something that's a 1, 2, 3. This is where we are. This is the energy around you right now.
Mhm.
This is kind of what you're dealing with, and the advice comes from these 2 pairs.
Okay. Love
and,
it.
And then you can say, you can do these pairs, and you can just keep going.
Okay. So is it sort of just laying out the story, or is it
Mhm.
just sort of how you see it? Is that a certain spread, or is that
That is a
just
5-card spread.
That's a 5-card spread.
So
Okay.
this is the center. This is the subject.
Okay.
This pair describes what's happened in the past, and this pair describes what's happened in the future.
Okay.
This leads to this. This leads to this.
Love it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have Miss Nikki in the house. Nikki, do you have a question? Really? Is there something you don't want to know about?
Okay, Nikki.
You know what I'm talking about. Is there something you don't? You know not to say that now, right?
Okay, so we're going to do another 5-card.
Okay.
So this would be one of those where I would really kind of dive into the playing card of it.
Okay.
And then
Interesting.
the reason why I would say that is because we have the heart card here in the center. So what I feel for you is that you're in a space where maybe you're starting to open up more. That's what I feel. Now, I have the tower and the ship, but it's like in the past you were alone and you weren't really sure what direction to go. So you were really kind of being a hermit, if you will, kind of deciding which direction do I really want to go with this. And so what you've been waiting for, I think you're receiving, are the messages that you have the gifts, you have the talents, and it's now time to embrace those things, okay? Because with the ship, while you were thinking about what you really want, was the flowers, the beauty, the gift that life has in store for you. So this, I think you've gone from a space of being really uncertain about which direction you were going to being in a place where, you know what, I'm okay with me now, and now I'm ready to hear those messages, and I'm ready to embrace the gifts and things that come to me. So, does that make sense to you? Okay.
Very good. So the tower is not the same as the tower in Tarot.
It's not.
So what does the tower, what would that mean? Just standing alone?
Standing alone standing alone in general, it's a building. It's an institution.
Okay.
Okay. And when I use it as describing somebody, I think of Rapunzel in a tower.
Oh, okay.
Because when you're standing in front of a building, it can be overwhelming. But this together actually looks like somebody staring out at a ship that's setting sail.
Okay.
So it's that perspective. You were actually saying, you know, I want to see the world. I kind of want to know what's out there, but not really sure how to get from here on the boat to move forward. So that's the way I see that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
That's interesting.
these are the two things with the messages of love, the messages of gift, the messages that you have that you just need to embrace and then move forward from there. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's awesome. Okay. Yeah, because I could see how somebody would make a mistake if they didn't learn how to do this. They might
Right.
think, oh, the tower, you know.
Right.
Yeah. If they,
Because
so
well,
if
and
they
that's
had learned
that's
to row
what,
first.
that's where they go. It's like, oh, the tower. No,
Yeah.
the tower
No.
is just an institution. But this is a tower, an institution of moving forward. This is about moving forward.
So is there any significance to the fact that around the heart she got 4 spades?
So that's one of the things that I would pick up on with that, and that's why I said that, because I think what this is describing is her hesitation, because they're dark cards. Usually
Okay.
dark or negative or self-doubt.
Okay.
And then as she moved forward, this would be the Queen of Swords. So this is really about you embracing the knowledge and just kind of cutting through the stuff. Does that make sense? So,
Very good. Okay. So we have Love and Light.
oh, hi.
Hi. Hi, Love and Light.
How are you? And we're going to do,
There's no question.
okay.
So you got all, I'll give you a question in a little while. Maybe Cassie will.
No,
or
you
Mary.
won't. And
You'll do a question.
I'm doing it with different cards. So.
Yeah, I like it. I like seeing all
Because
the different.
it's all the same standard symbols. Does that make sense?
Yes. I have a feeling that Eloy's going to start this Lenormand craze here in Dallas. All of a sudden, everybody's going to want to learn this. Okay, so here are the fairy cards.
The fairy cards. And so our center card is actually the coffin. So the coffin can be sometimes about feeling like you're in a place where you're kind of stuck. There's some things going on that either you're dealing with some issues that you really, that's the focal point right now. Okay, does that make sense? So now, moving here, I like this because what's happened is in the past, she's trying to make her way. She has the stork and she has the pathways. So she's like, even though I have to do with this, I'm really trying to do our best I can so that I'm taking care of myself too.
Okay.
So she's made some choices to move forward even around this situation. Does that make sense? How is she doing that?
But stork doesn't mean a baby,
It can.
but not.
Not right now.
Not
It's
right
about
now.
moving forward.
But
It's about
sometimes
change.
it's
It's about change. Right.
Okay. But
So
it
that's
could
what,
mean that for somebody.
could, yeah.
Because stork, sometimes you think of that.
well, it does.
Okay.
If there's a baby beside it.
Okay.
I would say, are you expecting
is
a
there a
child?
baby card?
Yes.
Oh, so there's
There's
a
a
stork
child
and
card.
a baby card.
Yeah.
So what does the stork mean if it doesn't mean a baby?
Change.
Change. You just said that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's change.
Okay.
So, and then how is she making these changes? How is she kind of dealing with the stress of kind of being in a predicament that she can't really work around?
Right.
She's actually looking to her friends.
Oh.
And even though it feels a little uncomfortable, she's taking risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the snake is here.
That's, again, we
Again,
have
the
warning
snake.
card.
So there's
Okay.
a warning card.
Okay.
There's some, but if you're walking with your dog again, then you're protected. And so
Okay.
even though it's uncomfortable and she's really doing the best she can with this, she's relying on her friends to help kind of carry her through.
I love that reading.
So
And I will say again that these are beautiful cards, but I agree with you. I would not recommend anybody to begin with these. Would you?
it took me a minute to see this snake
I couldn't
head.
see the snake. I was like, what is that? And then
So
I was like, oh, I see that eye.
I had to look
snake
at
eye staring at
I had
me.
to look
So-
at the
and
number.
then I knew.
I had to look at the number in
Yeah.
order to go back
And
to
I
it.
wouldn't. You'd have to know the numbers.
Right.
So yeah, they're pretty though.
Yeah.
Okay, so Miss Mary, what's your question?
Love. And you know what? This is the cool thing about doing playing Lenormand cards is that you can find a significator like love. Okay.
Okay.
And so if we're going to do love,
So you can get something, a significator or something to stand for love.
Right.
Okay.
and I'm going to shuffle these 3 times.
So would you, well, I guess you're about to show us how you do it.
So I'm going to find my significator.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to look for love. And then what we're going to do...
Seems like it's always the last card, or near the end. when
near
you're
the
looking.
end.
Mhm.
Maybe. Did I miss it? Nope, I missed it that time.
Maybe not near the end. What is it? See, they're hard to find in this deck.
They are hard to find in this deck.
That's a clover. Key. Wow, they are very
Flower,
pretty, but hard to see. Mountain, clouds, stars,
stars, tree,
trees, dog,
moon.
moon.
There it is.
There. Oh. Okay.
See? It was hard to see.
That. Well, yeah, that's really hard.
And
to
then
see.
what I do is I put 2 cards on either side of it, and then these 2 cards that come out of it.
Oh, so whatever was by it. I love that.
So
That's interesting. Did you guys see that? Say that again, what you did.
So what I did is I took the deck and I flipped it over, and then I looked for the heart card. And then the 2 cards are on top of it are the future, and the 2 cards on the bottom of it are the past, the recent past. It's called the Finding Hope method.
I
And
love
so
that.
sometimes when somebody wants a reading about inspiration, you can do it with tarot. You flip through them, you find the star card, you find the 2 cards underneath are the past, and the 2 cards are and
love that.
so it's just a different technique.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, so just so y'all know, it was a little hard to see these 2 people fairies upside down on a heart card, but I like that.
On a nest heart. or
Yeah, I
something.
know. It's
like
kind
a-
of, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with love?
I'd like to hear that.
So I will say, so the 2 cards I got here were the coffin and the messenger card. So I'll show you those. So for me, I think you weren't necessarily in a space in the past where you were ready to receive messages of love or receive that. You were really kind of doing your own thing. Does that make sense to you? And now you've come out of that box and you've come out of that shell and you're like, okay, what does this look like on the other side? And I like the fact that we have the moon
Right.
and then we have the dog. Because to me, this is about being honest with yourself and really, really owning who you are, so that way you are not putting up pretenses. If somebody's going to come along to be a part of your life, they have to take you for face value. This is the way it is. So this is about your reputation, and they have to be really honest. You're looking for somebody who's going to be true, and you're looking for somebody who's going to be not just a playmate, but a companion, if you will. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? And that's the space that you're making. And this is another thing, again, and I'll show you kind of there. But do you see in these cards how the hearts play into that? Okay? Do you see that?
Yeah.
And so it's really, see how the reflection of the moon with the fairy, that's done very well.
Right.
And see how the companion, that's done very well with the fairy.
Right.
So that's awesome.
Right.
So my kind of advice, or what I see in the cards right now, is that let your light shine. Because I think once you embrace that and you represent like what you're looking for, I think you'll find it. So.
I have a question on regarding this, because when you mentioned her, from Mary to also at the very beginning, for her to also be honest with herself and when
Right.
she was looking. And I don't know if this has anything to do with your reading. I'm not going to impose on your reading, but I think one thing that's really important, this is just an aside,
Okay.
is when people are looking for some love, is to be really honest about who they are, because sometimes we get into things and we'll get into relationships, and if we're not honest about who we are and what we're portraying,
Mhm.
then we're in a relationship and we're not who we really
Right,
are.
right.
And I'm not sure that that's what you were telling her. You were saying, be honest. You want somebody that'll really be.
But
a
she
reflection of
a
you.
reflection of her, which
Reflection
is
of you.
honest. Yeah.
But it just made me think of that too, though, because I do so many love readings for people, and I'm not talking to you, Mary, necessarily, but so many readings, and they're getting into relationships, and I know I've done this too, and maybe when we're in that dating phase, we're not really being who we really are,
I think
and
so,
then we
that's
get
right.
into these relationships, and we're wondering why they're not working. It's because we were putting on something that we really weren't.
And one of the things that I kind of do, and an added note to that is, you know what? You have to love yourself first before anybody can love you for who you really are.
For you really are.
So.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for doing all those readings.
You're welcome.
You guys, all those free readings, thank you for joining us and watching. And because you can get readings from Eloy here at SoulTopia Sensation.
Yeah.
Not this next one because you're doing the moderating.
I'm doing the
and
moderating.
Arthur's reading. But also you read at Miracles of Joy.
And then I also do online readings. So you can
Online
go
readings.
to Green Man Studios. I'll do a Skype reading or I'll do a phone reading. And we can, I like snapping a picture of it and kind of showing people what they're doing. So
Right.
I do those through the Green Man Studio also.
Right. And you don't just do that. You do bars.
I
Tell
do
us what
access.
else you do.
I do access consciousness bars, and it's just clearing out any thoughts and beliefs, that sort of thing. It's an energy healing thing. I do theta also, and then I do tarot readings and I do playing card readings. Cartomancy is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
So I like playing.
We're going to have that class too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like. Oh, did what?
He
I
just,
like.
see,
I like.
I don't have
get
it in
excited.
writing, but I have it on the camera.
I like that. I like the idea of sharing that information because it ties very much into this.
Yeah, clearly.
Clearly,
Because,
yeah.
And so does numerology tie into it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does
So
because
much
you
ties
can
into it.
you can actually take the combination of cards and like this is 3 and 8, which is 11, which is 2, which goes back to the number 2 in the cards, which is back to this is good fortune. It's a good opportunity to make sure you get things in writing.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
You're
I really
welcome.
do appreciate it. And again, I appreciate you guys when you do listen to this, that you're listening to it. I guess, I don't know what day this will be, but you'll be listening to it on our YouTube and we'll post it everywhere else. And I also want to just invite you guys to our SoulTopia Sensation on July 16th, and we've talked about that a little bit. You can find all our events at www.soultopia.guru. We also post a lot of things on our SoulTopia Facebook page and on Instagram and on Twitter and on Meetup. You name it, social media, it seems to be posted, but everything is posted on our SoulTopia.guru page. We're very good about keeping those events updated. Cassie's actually really good about that, and Wendy also, who works here. So thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, no
and
problem.
for now, we will just say Crystal Cheers until next time.